Looking to be more productive and jump those hurdles of change and challenge easier? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji.
Hello and welcome to Thrive in Life. I'm your host, Zaheen Nanji. This is episode number 49. I'm so excited to have our guest today, but first, this show is sponsored by one of my group coaching courses called Live Your Best Healthy and Happy Life, which we're launching in January. Yes, it's for a whole year. Basically, you get group coaching with me and like-minded people who want to live their best healthy and happy life. If you want to know more about it, go to my website, zaheennanji.com, or to my online school, resiliencchampion.com, and I'll have those show notes, those links in my show notes. All right, without much further ado, let's introduce my next guest. Leanne Bourgeois is an artist, and some of her talents include being a vocalist, keyboard and harmonica player, painter, and actress. Wow. These are some of the talents that I would like to have myself. She is a new author. She just published her book at the time of the recording about 3 weeks ago, and it's called Intuition to Fruition, From My Inside to My Outside. She recently performed backup vocals for Newfoundland artist Hawco. She has a Bachelor of Arts Degree in theater from Dalhousie University. She's new to public speaking, and I'm so glad that she decided to come on the show because she's working towards her dream to be on TED Talk. She has lived with fibromyalgia for over 10 years, and she currently resides in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Welcome, Leanne. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I know you want to talk about your book, and I'm excited to hear more about it. So tell us, what made you decide to write a book from being all the talented artist that you are, painter, actress, and so on? What made you want to write a book?
Well, when I began, I was in a place of pain. Over my course of my life, I always have this tendency to write my thoughts down whenever I'm going through changes, whether it's school or life or relationships. And in this particular case, it was a place I didn't expect to go through. I didn't want to be going through divorce. And so this was a way to grieve, to help me chart what I was going through. And I just started writing for an entire year. Mm-hmm. And I never imagined writing an entire year when I began, but I just couldn't put it down. And my way of writing is typing into the laptop because it's easier for my neck. And then at some point within the last few years, I didn't like the ending too much, so I ended up fixing it. And then this past December, I decided to finally publish it. I had sent an excerpt to the company that a friend of mine who I met at karaoke actually published some books with, and then I decided to start the process.
Wow. Well, good on you, because you know what? As an author myself, writing a book is tough, because especially if, when you're sharing your most intimate things about yourself, and you're sharing that with someone else, and sometimes it can be very difficult to share those thoughts. But I was interviewing Randy Brown in my last episode, and he said that for him it was more of a healing journey. And I said, exactly, I know what you mean, because it was the same for me. So good on you, because now you can add writer to your artist. That yes, you are an artist and you can even write and publish a book. So good on you.
Thank you kindly.
So what is the main message in your book? And I know it's Intuition to Fruition, which is a great title. But what is the message in there for the reader?
I would say the big thing is, no matter what challenges you face, no matter what trauma you may encounter, there's always another angle if you give yourself a chance to find it. And the big thing is to keep going no matter what. Never stop until you succeed. And I would say that is the major reflection I would find that I really want the reader to get from it. I don't want them to treat me like a victim. I want them to use my story as a message for them to create more strength in themselves.
Yeah, that is so important to do that, because sometimes we find that when we're actually faced with a trauma, which has happened to me too, various times, and we tend to get into the victim mode. And when you were going through your challenges, I'm sure that there were times where the first thing was, why me? Why is this happening to me? Or whose fault is it that this is happening to me? So it's kind of like that blame mindset. Like, it's not my issue. It's like someone else's issue. But what was, how would you self-talk in your head on how you can step out of it, how you can bounce forward, rather than staying there?
Well, thankfully at the time I had some help. I was actually entering into a day treatment program, because with fibromyalgia, the thing is, for a while there, I was so much pain and I was not sure what to try to calm it. And the big piece with my experience prior to that moment was trying to figure out how to cope and also try to pace. I did a self-pain management program which taught me about pacing with fibro, because the big thing about fibro is one day you're going to feel great and you're going to overdo it, and then you end up what's called hitting your flare-up line, where you get beyond your baseline. And a key component is working with your baseline, because the more you maintain your baseline, the higher it goes, and the less likely you're going to hit that flare-up line, if you can picture a graph of it. And when that period happened, I was thankful enough to be in that day treatment program that talked about dialectical behavioral therapy. And a big component of that is crisis survival skills, working with mindfulness, meditation, learning coping skills, setting boundaries. And then after that program, I went straight into an individual-based program, which was with the Center for Health and Emotions Clinic. And when I was doing that program, we were doing one-on-one work, and some of our sessions were like an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
And it was really just going through all the stages of grieving. So in a way, I was in the right place at the right time. I felt like no matter, one thing I've learned from all this is no matter what moments have affected me, there always seems to be angels that come out of nowhere that just say, hey, come in this direction, come follow me. And this is the way to go. And another piece I think is really key is I look at every time I've encountered a trauma or some moment of hardship as redirection. It's redirection, connecting me more to where I need to align with, where I need to go. The other way was not the path for me, as painful as it seems. When you love someone, you think you're in the right path, but then you do some reflection, you realize, oh, I missed this, I missed that. And then you talked about self-talk. That was also a part of the treatment, is how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Starting with simply like, our brains are so smart. And one thing you could say to yourself, for example, I'm a good person. Or the contrary is, I'm a bad person.
Right.
But if you say to your brain, I'm a good person, our brains are so smart, they're not going to believe us. So a key part of that is saying evidence. So for example, I could say, if I use today, I'm a good person because I became a published author to help others, to maybe save people from the fates of suicide. I'm a good person because I connect with my mom and dad and I love them. I'm a good person because I take care of my pet. And then do you see how just using those evidence-based thoughts changes the way you see yourself? And when you start doing that, that can actually create a better positive self-talk.
All right. So just to recap then, for the listeners and the viewers, you said that it was helpful for you at that time to seek help, and in a way that the education that was there, the one-on-one coaching that you got, you accepted that. It's not that you just say, no, this is not for me. Which is one thing that I would highly recommend, that a lot of people think that asking for help or finding help is a sign of weakness, and it's not. In fact, it's a sign of strength, because you're accepting the fact where you are, and you want to get over that. So it's not a sign of weakness. The second thing you did was I like the phrase that you used, that you redirected yourself, and I use the word reframe, where you reframe the thought, you reframe the situation. So redirection is a great way, where instead of going just this one way, being in the victim mode, you thought, no, I have to change course. That's great. And then the third thing that you did was the constant self-talk. That even when something that you want to do scares you, you talk yourself into saying, no, this is the intent of what I'm doing, and this is how it will help. So thank you for sharing those three things, which can help anyone, even me, right? Like, I'm always learning something from all my guests when they come on, always.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you hope for like, I know you mentioned that I want my book to help readers understand that there is always a way of how you can overcome challenges. But what is something else that you would like them to learn when they read your book?
I think the key thing is to never take the situation as is. It's almost like a magnifying glass. If you remember, well, I remember as a kid, I remember in science class, they taught us, to take the magnifying glass on the pavement, you put a little bit of, leaves or something, and then if it was a bright sunny day, how you angle that magnifying glass is how you pick up where you can actually start a little fire. And I think that's the same thing in life. I think with every situation that you encounter, if you just change the angle, you see it from a new direction. Sometimes it's taking a step back and just coming. And then another piece, I think, with what you were mentioning about going through treatment, one thing is, don't let your pride get in the way. Sometimes help comes in when you least expect it, and sometimes it doesn't come in the way you want it to. But that doesn't mean it's not help. The universe is still coming to you. It's just sharing it in another way. And if you're open and you give yourself that chance to find that golden nugget, even if it's one more piece along your journey to help you get beyond where you are.
So
yeah.
I will call that the 2 P's. One is pride. So ditch the pride, right?
Yeah.
And then the second P that came out of that was perspective. Changing your perspective, which I always talk about in my keynotes and my training sessions, is huge. And I like it. There's this book, and it's been there for quite a long time, and it's called 7 Arrows, and it's about indigenous culture. But one of the stories in there is that in the past they would sit around an object, and they would look at the object from different angles and understand that, hey, what I'm seeing from this angle may not be the same thing that the other person is seeing. And it's interesting how we can change the way we view things just by changing our position. So thank you for sharing that. So time flies fast always when we're having fun doing these interviews, but I'd like you to share one tip or one strategy that will help my listeners and viewers bounce forward. And what would that be? What was the thing that really helped you the most?
I'd say the big thing from all this, I know it's going to sound cliche, but really is to love yourself.
Mm.
Do things, and with that love, it's to do things that bring you joy. Whatever that is for you. I know a lot of people think, well, I don't know what my passion is. But here's the thing. You may not know what your passion is, but pick something that at least increases your frequency, even if it's by percentage, 1%. Start small, and then you never know where you'll come from that.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, you know, when I think of singing, well, singing can bring me a lot higher than 1%, but sometimes I'm not in the best state, and maybe I can just play one song that day. But at least I know I did that. At least I followed it, and I just did that one thing to bring me that joy for that day. And then it just changes your perspective.
Yeah. So changing your state of mind is something that you're talking about, like just doing something.
Yes, thank you. That's well said. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's the hardest thing to do, is that one thing on your down days. But it's like pushing yourself forward, right? You know, when you're with a trainer who is, you know, making you more fit, they will push you that extra mile after, just so that you can build your endurance. And I like what you said, that just do one thing, because it builds your state of mind to being more positive, and it builds endurance so that you can endure what you're going through. So
that's right.
Yeah. So tell me more about how we can get a hold of your book, which I know is very newly published.
Yeah. So it's on Amazon.ca. It's also on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble, if there's any viewers from the States. Okay. And those are the 3 places currently. And in the next little while, I will be promoting a video press release. Working on that right now, so that's not ready yet. But once it comes, stay tuned.
Okay. Are we going to hear you, you know, like sing in the video, or?
Not in the video per se, but I'm hoping as I'm developing my public speaking talks, I'm actually going to combine music with my talk. So I will be playing during those moments, playing piano and singing.
Wow, excellent idea, by the way. You know, people love that.
Thank you.
And it's a different way of learning. It's, you know, learning through sound and music, and learning through talk is great.
Well, it's my life support.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, keeps that pulse going.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the links to the book in my show notes so that people can access that. And for those of you listening to the podcast, know that we do this as a video first. So you can access the video recording on my website at zaheennanji.com/TIL. TIL stands for Thrive in Life. Again, that's zaheennanji.com/TIL. And if you are watching the video, know that you can also listen to this as a podcast, whether you're driving, whether you're walking, whether you're cleaning the house. You can listen to it on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play. And I would love it if you like what I'm offering. I would love that you could add a review on how you find this show. All right, Leanne, well, we're at the end of our show, but thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I truly appreciate it, and I'm sure that the listeners and viewers do too. Now, go make your life count, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye now.
Thanks so much for listening to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit ZaheenNanji.com. That's ZaheenNanji.com. We'll catch you on the next episode of Thrive in Life.